So one thing I find really frustrating when I've SSH'd into a machine and I'm working on that machine and I want to split the pane maybe or open up a new tab here. Well, by default, when I open up a new tab, I'm stuck on my local machine again, and I then have to SSH into the remote machine. And even more troublesome is if maybe I'm inside of some other directory on that remote machine. That means if I open up a new tab, I have to change into that directory as well. And no matter how easy it is to do all of that, I find it frustrating. And so I made some changes here in iTerm. Watch this here. If I open up a new tab now with Command T, take a look at that. I'm connected to the remote machine, Pi7, and I'm inside of the repos directory. If I change into another directory here, maybe GitHub, and I use Command T again, look at that. I'm in the GitHub directory and Pi7 as well. If I were to split the screen instead here to split the pane, look at this down below. Look, I'm connected to Pi7, same directory as well. Or if I make a new window here, there you go, connected to that Pi7 node as well as I'm inside of the right directory. So now when I'm working on a remote machine, if I want to split the pane and run a different command, maybe put a watch up and look at something, well, I can just split the screen real easy now. I don't have to think much about it. Instead, I'll just be connected right away on the same machine in the same directory so I can then run whatever command it is that I want to run. I also added an option here or a keyboard shortcut. So if I'm on a remote machine here with Pi7, if I want a new tab locally, I can use the Shift key, Command Shift and T. That'll open up a new tab, or Command Shift and N will open up a new window. And in both cases, we'll be connected locally in the directory that I was in previously. And of course, this means here, if I open up a new tab locally, SSH to a different machine like Pi1, in that case, when I split the screen, there you go. You can see down below, there's Pi1. And so to set this up here, basically, if I close all these, come back to my iTerm configuration scripts here. I've got some Python scripts using the Python API for iTerm 2. So I got this Python script here, and then I've also got Keyboard Maestro set up with some remappings, essentially, of my keyboard shortcuts. So for example, Command N, I remap that to a different key combo that will activate my Python script over here on the left. Same thing with Command T, D, etc. So I just remapped all the keys so they get routed into this Python API script. And so let's take a look at this here. Here is the function I call when I want a new window. At the end of the day, all this entails is right here in the middle, I'm creating a new window here. So I've got window.async create. And then as far as the inputs are concerned, one thing I have to do is set the command line for a new window. I'll show you what this looks like here. If you open up the inspector in iTerm, you can then choose inspector down below, and you can grab one of these sessions here. This is a session, this is a tab, this is a window. Sessions, that's where you can find your information like the path that you're inside of. You can also find the command that's running right now. So there's a command line right here. You can see I'm using NeoVim right now. If I open up a new tab here, SSH into another machine like Pi7. I've never been able to figure out if you can refresh the inspector here, but if not, what I do is I just open it up again here. All right, so now that new tab here, you can see command line says SSH Pi7. That is the command I use to connect. So essentially I can just use that then when I open up a new window. That's going to be the command that I run, and then I'll be automatically connected. And then I also grab the path here. You can see here is the path on the remote machine. I can use that then to make sure I change into the appropriate directory. For example, if I change into repos here, now if I go over to the inspector, you can see the path is now different. So that's the path then I can use inside of the new window to go to the same directory. Then down below, once the window opens up, I grab that original path variable that I just showed you. I use that to decide, am I going to send a CD command into that new window or tab or whatever it is? And then I also run the clear command. And you can kind of see that here if it's a bit slow to begin with. Watch what happens here. Actually, let's do this. Let's do an await on async. Let's sleep for 1 second so you can see what's happening here. So I'll just add a quick delay in there, and I'm going to duplicate my command here so you can see the two parts of it. Okay, so I split that up into two separate commands, and between them, I'll add some time here so you can see both of them. If I reload my script for iTerm then, and so now if I open up a new window while connected to a remote machine, watch this. There's a CD, I'm in that directory, and then there's the clear. And then as far as the rest of this is concerned, basically the same logic when it comes to making a new tab. So I've got that here. And then down below, I've got logic here for when I'm splitting the pane. And then there's also a bit of logic in here that I skipped over. If I come up here, I'll come back to the window one. That's where I grab the current profile. So whatever the zoom level is on the window, if I zoom this out really small here and I make a new window, this one's really tiny as well. If I reset it, it'll be big again. So I'm using the current profile no matter what. That way I get the same size of font here. Same thing when I split the pane here. You can see the same size. And I'll just wrap up by saying, if you're curious about the examples here, out of my .files repo, you can get access to all of this code here. Just come out to .files inside of an iTerm 2 directory, and then there's a west.py where I basically bootstrap everything, and that links into this tabs.py for creating new tabs, also new windows now and new panes. It's all inside of here. You can just copy and paste it and use it, do whatever you like with it, and start taking advantage of the iTerm Python API.